Hey golfers, I'm Drew Mahold with Second Swing Golf out here at Titleist Performance Institute today with Emma Carpenter joining us for some fun today because Emma is going to get fit for a new driver. So Emma, you've been playing TSI2 and TSR2
That's right,
the last several years, so you're very comfortable with Titleist drivers, but there's of course newer and better out there now to be fit for. So talk to me about your experience playing Titleist drivers the last few years. Obviously that was most of your college career, so very high level golf that you've been playing with Titleist drivers. What have you experienced with that?
Yeah, well, I've played Titleist drivers all through college, and I would definitely say that driving has been the strength of my game. So, I mean, I love this thing. It's trusty. I switched from the TSI2 to the TSR2 just because I got a little bit more speed because of the aerodynamics of the head. But the dispersion was still awesome. The distance was still awesome. Carry, spin, everything. It's everything that I need. So, I mean, anytime Titleist comes out with a new driver, I really can't resist. I got to check it out, and I'm really excited.
Yeah, there's a lot of new technology packed into the GT2 and the GT3 series that we're going to be looking at here today. But I also want to get your thoughts on just being out here today at Titleist Performance Institute. This is kind of a next level fitting experience. We're outside, beautiful, Oceanside, California weather today. So what are your thoughts on this experience you're going to have today? What do you expect anything, or you're just kind of going in and see what happens?
Yeah, well, shoot, that's a really good way to put it. Next level, elevated. I mean, this place is unbelievable. It's so gorgeous. Weather is immaculate. The vibes are high. Could not be any better out here. So, I mean, hopefully that means I'm going to swing it even better and these clubs are going to work even better, which I know they will because Titleist is the best. But, yeah, I mean, it's a pretty perfect day. From the moment I walked up, I knew this was a special place.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. So what we're going to have you do, we're going to have you work with Lucas, the fitter from Titleist. Really, we're just going to have you go through a normal Titleist fitting as they would for anybody, and we're going to get to film it and everything. So I'm kind of excited to watch you get dialed in here for your new driver.
Well, thanks, Drew. I appreciate it. I'm pumped up too.
Are you ready to hit?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
Talk to me about your driver. Tell me how you got into this club and what you like about it.
Yeah, so I switched, I think it was 2 years ago, from the TSI2 head to the TSR2 head. I was already really happy with the TSI2 head, but the TSR2 head, they said the aerodynamics of it, I automatically picked it up and was swinging it a little bit faster. And so it was getting a little more distance. And then, yeah, I got this Tour AD DI 6S shaft. Stiff, light. I've always kind of swung a light stiff shaft, at least over the probably past 5-6 years. And it's worked well for me. It felt really good.
Have you felt like there's any negatives about the club? Anything you don't like? And you can be honest. We're genuinely here to make you better. So if there's a couple things that we can enhance, we want to look at those.
Yeah, well, I got 9 degrees of loft, which I actually wouldn't change. I really do like the height that I get on the driver. I think that it's the perfect height. It can cut through the wind really nicely. I keep it an A1. I mean, gosh, I would say my biggest miss is like just a little bit of the old duck hook, snap hook a little bit. So anything to eliminate just that strong of a left miss would be ideal, because I do like to hit draws with the driver. But yeah, I mean, overall I've been pretty happy with the setup.
And you said you feel comfortable knowing everything about your swing and numbers and things like that, so we're good there. Let's hit some shots then. Let's get a little pool of some good data. Good ones are good. I need bad ones though too. So don't do them on purpose, but they're helpful when we see them.
Yeah, you got it.
You hit towards the big tree at the end of the range. Let's capture some data and then we'll talk about it.
Okay, cool. And before I start hitting, another question I had for you, sorry.
You're okay.
So I like to swing up on the driver pretty good. What kind of setup is good for someone who likes to hit up on the driver?
Well, it depends. That's always going to be my default fitter answer. Generally, you're adding lofted impact. Therefore, you're going to remove lofted impact. But there's pros and cons to everything that you choose to do. By you hitting more up on it, you bring in a low spin dynamic, which brings in a low left. You also bait your club probably a little bit longer, which makes you miss strikes on the face. You can hit one really, really good, but then you hit one really, really bad. So the challenging part is, it's not for me to decide you hitting up makes you a better or worse golfer. And so there are players who do things that are outside of what we'd call nominal. And those players play at a very high level and make a lot of money doing it. So it's not our place to show you that, but at the same time, I might challenge you a little bit.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I'm definitely, and I'm happy to change it. I just, for me, it's what I've gotten the most out of in terms of carry.
I got you.
I can carry it really far when I have a little lower lofted, swing way up on it.
What?
Obviously, dispersion is the most important thing.
How many degrees up do you think you are, or do you know?
It varies. I'm usually at least like 3.5 at least.
Okay.
But sometimes it can get up to like 5 or 6.
And then when you start to see it getting up to 5 and 6, do you start noticing things happening, like golf swing doesn't feel good or affects your iron play, or?
I am pretty just like neutral with the irons, no matter what. I don't swing down crazy on the irons, but I would say when it does get up in degrees and I'm swinging up on it with the driver, it's just a lot harder to keep the ball straight. Like it'll just curve a little bit more, especially like if I'm swinging way up and I catch it on the toe, like it's just gonna move a lot further left.
Okay. All right, well, let's hit some. Don't try to think about that too much. I know we were just talking about it, but just do what you do.
Okay.
And then let's see what happens and we'll talk about it.
Okay, sounds good. Yep.
That's the one?
Yeah, that's kind of just like the low left. It feels like I'm just coming just a little bit more straight down and then shut base.
Better? 7 out of 10?
I would say, yeah. I mean, I wouldn't be upset with it on the golf course, but definitely didn't get all of it.
Okay. We probably aren't going to mess with shaft too much, if at all.
Okay. You like the shaft?
Well, shaft to me, shafts are like tires on the car. They're important. You have to have the right tires for the car, but I can't put a set of Porsche tires on a minivan and make your minivan a Porsche. So it's an enhancement thing.
Right.
It's, if you're in the wrong loft and you're in the wrong head style, I can put any shaft in and prove to you why it's good. Because you have to create context to say why one shaft is better than another.
Okay.
That's why we have carts full of them. So to me, it's better the player, the longer they've played a shaft, it's more your decision to say, hey, I've been really unhappy with this.
Yeah.
I would like to try some different feels. You didn't come to the table with that thought process. So for me, it's unfair to change 2 years of your feel.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna look at that.
Lucas, I trust you so much.
Well, that's good. We just met.
You don't have to, and I trust you so much. You do not have to worry about what's fair of my,
Well,
I'm telling you.
I don't want you to play bad golf because then you'll curse me.
You are the expert.
Well, play one on TV.
Oh, okay, great. We got both misses.
Well, it's good because, let me show you a couple of these.
Okay.
Like I said, I'm going to talk to you today like you know nothing.
Okay.
I'm going to get rid of that one, though. That one's not your normal miss.
Okay.
So, in every fitting, I walk a player through the numbers, which ones are important to me and which ones are important and why. So, ball flight is the most important thing. Mm-hmm. Your ball has to fly good on the golf course to take advantage of the golf course and play your best golf. Mm-hmm. If your ball flight isn't good, you're not going to be a good golfer. Correct. You'll get lucky, but over time you won't play as well. So how we define ball flight inside a TrackMan is, number one, how high does your ball go? What angle it comes into the ground, landing angle, and then carry distance. Mm-hmm. The ingredients to that are ball speed, launch angle, and spin rate.
Right.
So I only have to look at one number to understand whether your ball flight can take advantage of a golf course. So landing angle is the most important number. It's an effect number.
What a great way to phrase it.
If I took,
you can take advantage of the golf course. I love it.
You have to. So if I look at all your numbers, this is TrackMan Optimizer, so it's just a good way to visually show all those numbers and its relationship. If I took this little flag and I decided to crank it down to 1600, well, what shot would that be?
A really low spinning one?
Yeah. And that would be the one that probably goes left. Yeah. And so your landing angle would then be 30 degrees.
Okay.
So what happens is your airplane is crashing. Okay, I make your driver at 45 degrees. Now it's banking off to the right and spinning too much. So 35 to 39 is a pretty good window for a driver landing angle.
Okay, and can you kind of explain explain launch and landing angle to me a little bit?
Yeah, so remember the ingredients, ball speed, launch angle, and spin rate.
Yeah.
That's the relationship that creates landing angle. So these three numbers together as one create your ball flight, which is height, landing, and carry.
Okay.
So for example, if I had a launch angle now that wasn't 13 and I cranked it up and it went to like 17, your ball would peak higher and it would come in the ground steeper. But you might lose out on carry because it loses its energy going up instead of forward.
Right.
And then the transverse would happen if this comes down to, let's just say 9, and these two stay the same. This comes down and this comes down. Okay. So if you go down in launch, you have to go up and spin. So you have players who range in technique and different styles of play.
Definitely. Right.
Tony Finau is a little bit more down in his driver. He creates a low launch and higher spin ball. You have a Justin Thomas who's a little more neutral to up on it. He creates high launch and low spin.
Right.
Both very good.
Right.
But they figure out what works for them.
Right.
So you're more in the Justin Thomas camp of creating launch with low spin. The negative to that is
the
left.
miss. Yeah.
All right, let's have some fun.
Okay.
Take that from you.
Oh, different sound than what I'm used to. Hopefully I still hit it on the center of the face.
You're good. What about that made you interested?
Well, usually right about here, I have a pretty good idea of what the golf shot is gonna be.
Okay.
And I would say that swing felt pretty good. It definitely kind of launched really high, and I wasn't expecting it to hold as straight as it did.
Nice.
It held really straight, especially into the wind. I know when you're into the wind, you got to really control the spin on your golf ball because if I were to hit a draw or a cut right now, it would probably go even further because we're a little bit into the breeze. But
so if you were flying a plane and there was no consequence to you doing something silly in the plane and you kept crashing it, what would you have to do to the plane to let it not crash? You'd go this way, right?
Right.
Good.
Okay.
What's your miss?
This way.
Uh-huh. Good.
Very definitely that was probably a very similar swing to whatever my very first one was that went the furthest left. It feels like, and these are just first impressions, I have no idea if this is even true. It feels like it's in the air for longer, and that might be because it's got to be going higher. It looks like it's going higher.
So if you played on the LPGA Tour,
yes.
What is the common theme between the women who make the most amount of money?
They hit the fairway every single time.
That helps.
Yeah.
Hit the ball high.
Yeah?
Compared to their peers.
Interesting. Is that true in the men's?
Fastest club head speeds are the highest paid players on the tour, right? And those players have the ability to hit the ball the highest.
Really high.
They don't always have to. Same with the women.
And you mean just all around or okay.
Think about what gives you advantage. If you can stop a 4-iron on a green,
right?
How much of an advantage does that give you, right?
A massive one, right?
Especially as the golf course becomes more challenging.
Right.
So your ability to stop the ball and being able to do that is positive in all golf clubs. On the PGA Tour, it's positive in a driver because if they just hit it flat, it'll chase into the rough.
Yeah.
So sometimes they play their drivers at 42 or 45 degrees of landing angle, and it hits and it stops right there.
Right.
But when they want it to chase, they just make it chase.
Right,
definitely. You can't make a club that only chases go up.
Right, okay.
It's easier to make a high ball go low.
That did not feel good on the backswing. That wouldn't have been good with any club, Lucas.
Okay, do one more, and then we'll change you up again.
Okay. That was a good swing.
Let me show you.
Man, that went pretty straight. I'm not really used to watching the ball do that. It was straight and then almost fell to the right a little bit.
Good. So here's your shots. Ball speed's almost the same. Launch angle went up from 13 to 15. Spin rate stayed the same. It's neither good nor bad yet. All right. What I was trying to figure out is if I change the club, will you change your swing? And you didn't.
Cool.
It's good. It's just a thing.
Yeah.
It's like 50-50.
Yeah.
Some players, you change the club and they really adjust what they're trying to do based on what they're looking at.
Yeah.
And some players just do the same thing all the time.
Yeah.
It's just helpful for me to know which one I'm dealing with.
Yeah. When it's, by the way you describe it, it almost sounds like there's no like wrong answer. Like if I did change my swing, like that would give you information.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, I'm definitely trying to swing it the same way.
Good. Keep doing that.
Yeah. Because I'm like, I don't want any data to be because I'm like trying something, trying to swing it the same way I normally would.
I got you. Now we're talking.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
Good swing.
Thank you. See, now that one I thought I hit pretty good. It moved about the same amount.
Okay, let's look at this.
Okay.
Light blue versus white. So ball speed jumped up a little bit. You're fastest with your club. I'm going to get rid of this.
I'm carrying it 260?
That's right.
Let's go.
So to be fair, I got rid of your lowest ball speed. That was the big miss hit in your TSR. So,
oh, you got rid of my very first one?
Yeah.
That was really bad?
Well, actually, that one had high ball speed, but you had one in there that you had 149
like I
ball
swiped
speed.
at the end.
So
Got it.
I'm trying to be somewhat fair. And
otherwise, this one would blow it out of the water.
Yeah. So you gained about 1 mile an hour ball speed. You gained about, 1.5 degrees of launch. Your spin stayed almost identical, but because you add ball speed, you add 7 yards in carry. What do you notice about your peak height? 91 to 104.
Uh-huh.
It's good.
Yeah.
So your ball's in the air longer.
Right.
And so anytime, again, you start looking at this, it's the same. It's the same. You're just on the high side of this part.
Which is what we said we wanted.
Yeah. If you're going to hit up on it, you better hit it high.
Right.
If you're hitting up on it and you're not hitting it high enough, what's going to happen to your plane?
Yeah.
It's going to crash.
Yeah.
So if at least you have 104 feet of elevation and you start to go and miss a little bit left.
That's not too high? Like, that's good?
You never hit the ball too high.
Okay.
You can hit with too much spin, you can hit with too much launch. You can do things that you weren't intending to do, but remember, your ability to hit the ball high is what will separate you from your peers.
Okay.
It's like being an NBA player. It's better to be tall and athletic.
Nice.
Yeah. Okay, so why is the ball going left?
That was a question for me.
Mm-hmm.
Because the cold face is shut?
Is it? It is.
It is,
Okay.
but it's not necessarily shut to my path.
Correct. It's square to your path.
Yeah.
But what about your swing direction? It's shut to your swing direction.
Right.
Good.
Okay.
Another way to say it, you're aimed there.
I'm aiming left?
Yeah.
Why didn't you tell me this before, Lucas?
Because then this wouldn't be any fun. Okay, hit me another one. Aim further right.
Okay. Thank you.
So you're aimed at those two little dark trees.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Where's your ball been going?
Right at them?
Mm-hmm. It's good. Means you're coachable. It's okay.
Oh, no.
It's your mess.
Alrighty.
Perfect.
And that makes more sense too, because my normal ball flight would start just a little bit right and then draw back.
So look at the difference between these.
Yeah.
So again, I joke around, I'm in charge of north and south.
Okay.
You're in charge of east and west.
Okay.
And so when I see dispersion like this, you have plus or minus 1 yard between all 4 of those shots.
Wow.
Now, in fairness, you are well fit in your current TSR. You're in a pretty good setup. There's not a lot wrong going on. It's how do you enhance the misses? To me, these being more in line with the 2 that are downrange are better than the ones that start to dip and start to crash.
Yes.
All right, let's get greedy. So anytime the ball for a right-handed player favors the right, we've kind of established that about 100 feet of peak height is kind of what your swing generates.
Right.
And every player comes to the table with geometry that creates a certain type of window, as we call it on tour.
Uh-huh.
So if you hit a shot to the right, you'd expect your peak height to go up.
Up.
You hit one to the left, you'd expect it to go down.
Right.
So finding that nominal is really important.
Okay.
And that's why landing angle is important, because if you start to move it a little left, you have some to play with. You start to move it to the right, you have max carry, but no chase out. Okay, I'll take that club back. That's good. So the big difference is where the weight's placed.
Yeah.
You're more up on the ball.
Right.
And far more neutral. So think of a car. If you're in a big giant SUV on the highway, you sit in the middle of the wheel well, which means the weight is in the middle. And so when you're on a straightaway, it's really, really comfortable, and it feels really, really good on a straightaway.
Yeah.
But as soon as you take it around a windy turn, it feels really boxy.
Yeah.
The opposite is the case here. On a straightaway, you have to be really precise with how you have it, because it's going to get offline quickly.
Right.
But at the same time, if you're a player who's trying to move it, it's a huge advantage for some players. For you, it's not. 2 model all day. Nope. I'll take that.
Didn't like it?
No, 1600 spin. In no world should you have spin underneath 2000.
Okay.
That was 8 degrees.
Oh, well that makes sense. All these changes in the ball flight, I'm like, I really hope I'm not just swinging it in a million different ways. And then he tells me afterwards, yeah, well, I did put the weight all the way in the toe, or I did do this.
Good. Okay, so all we're gonna do, we're gonna keep the 2 model, 9 degrees.
Yeah.
You like that?
Yeah.
We're just gonna change the shaft, but we're gonna keep similar weight profiles. So they're all gonna be 60 grams.
Okay.
But we're just gonna try some different feels.
Oh, that felt good. That felt pretty good.
I'm interested.
Wow, I thought I was gonna miss that like way right, and it was really good. This is what I do, Lucas. It's like when I'm with second swing, I hit a ball, and it's like I play a game with myself of like trying to guess the TrackMan numbers.
Okay, so let's try to guess the TrackMan numbers.
Okay, well that's why I said I think it's like it was a little bit higher, spinnier.
Like higher launching, you're saying, or higher height, like peak height?
Probably higher launching, maybe also higher height.
Okay, you'd be right. It'd be 1 degree higher than the first one.
Okay.
And how many RPMs more on the second one?
I was gonna say 200 RPMs.
Yeah, it's like you were 2610. So the club didn't do that.
Yeah.
You did that.
Right.
So what did you do in your swing to create that dynamic? That's where I always get on fitters a lot of times, because yes, like this doesn't create stuff.
Right.
You create stuff through that.
Right.
And there are data points that you can change on the golf club to help you affect the ball positively. But then there are things that you do in your golf swing that override that.
Right. Oh, that was a little heely.
But
Actually,
look at those 3 shots.
I know, they all went like dead straight.
Good swing.
Thanks.
So you're touching on a point that I don't typically like to overlook sometimes, because if you're a consumer and you're concerned about that, and that's a thing, that's a data point, like I want to be empathetic to that. I don't want to sit here and try to sell you something or tell you that this is the best thing ever, yet you don't like how it looks. So
No, I'm not saying that I didn't like it.
yeah, but you went on your way to tell me about it. That's usually not a good thing.
No. Well, I mean, I'm not saying it like made it better or worse. It was just like, just first impressions. That was not a great golf swing.
One more, but I don't like it.
Okay.
The one before it felt better, yeah? The one right
The
before.
shaft before? Yeah, definitely.
Let's hit a couple more with this.
Okay.
And then let's go back to your gamer.
Okay.
Let's hit some fairways. Good miss.
Yeah, that was a miss. I didn't hate it.
One more, and then let's switch you back to your DI.
Okay.
And then I'm gonna have you hit just a couple 7-irons, just so I can see what they do. And
Okay.
it'll help me figure out the fairways a little easier.
Okay.
Good swing.
Thanks.
Okay, take it from you.
Just a touch lower launching, but I liked it.
Perfect.
Yeah, that was really good. That was pretty ideal.
Yeah. Here's the club that you hit the best. Light blue. What I don't like about dark blue is while it's a very similar shaft,
Yeah.
it looked like when you turned it left, you got a little on the low side, a little on the low spin. Where these ones, when you turned left, your spin rate stayed up higher.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this one didn't, but your height stayed higher, so your launch was there.
Yeah.
And so when you're comparing last generation's model, or last TSR versus GT, 1 mile an hour of ball speed, 1 degree of launch, spin is almost identical, and your dispersion numbers just start to get a little bit better. The intangible part is your miss. If you keep your ball higher in the air, you're less likely to see that low left miss happen.
Right.
So that's the big thing to take home for a better player. It's not about making your perfect shot better. However, you did carry on average everything about 4 yards further.
Don't hate that.
No. And so your furthest carry was 261. Your furthest carry was 257 and a half. So while 4 yards doesn't seem like a big deal, well, the bunker's right there.
Sometimes you need the ball to go 1 yard. Seriously.
Yeah. So it's a big deal.
Before. Ball's in the air and I'm like, go 1 yard.
One
and
more,
it never
please.
does.
No,
but now
never.
I can.
Right in the lip. I like this combination.
Okay.
I think if you wanted to experiment with something different, you could go down this path.
What were the biggest differences you saw with these two shafts?
In terms of like how you had to swing it, you looked like you tried to work that one more. But to me, it just looked like you were trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
The first two that you hit were dead straight on top of each other.
Yeah.
And then you started to do your normal misses.
Yeah.
And it started to get a little bit wide. So
Yeah.
sometimes when you...
Wider than this?
Yes.
Okay.
So sometimes when you have something new in your hands, you have to figure it out.
Yeah.
And so your old misses don't work with a new shaft.
Right.
Because you're used to how to compensate with that one.
Okay.
And that's why I'm kind of being a little more defensive about what shafts you have.
Okay.
Because it's not my place. Your coach, if he has a place where he wants to get you in terms of numbers and you're in that place that day, that's when you start experimenting with some different feels. If it helps you or it hurts you or it doesn't. As long as you keep this the same, that can't affect ball flight. It's just how you feel through your swing.
Right.
If you feel something, then it'll do it.
Got it.
That's kind of the idea.